Well,
Yeah,
hello
live.
everyone. Okay. Hey, hello everyone. This is welcome everyone to the conversation. I'm Caroline. I lead the experience strategy at Mar Labs, and I am super excited to be joined by these wonderful folks here to have a very interesting conversation on the value of customer experience in the life sciences and so much more. However, let me get started by introducing our guest, and I'll start with Jason. Jason brings to Sonova his 25 plus experience of global leadership experience to enable client work in drug discovery, development, and manufacturing with the ultimate hope of providing more effective, safe, and affordable therapeutics to those in need. His relentless focus on the customer and employee experience has allowed him to develop strong customer advocacy and employee engagement throughout his whole career. He aspires to apply a digital mindset to take Sonova experience to new heights. Jason, welcome.
Thanks, Carolyn.
And then we have Ashrita. She is spearheading Sonova's marketing strategy and aspires to bring a cross-disciplinary approach to the team's operation. She focuses on bridging customer experience and project execution between the sponsor and the lab. She began her career in investment management, focused on servicing emerging market portfolio for institutional clients. And then, of course, she discovered a passion for growing companies. Ashrita transitioned to fintech, where she worked with Series A level startups in developing innovative solutions, and now find herself bringing this wonderful skill set to the ever growing Sonova. Welcome, Ashrita.
Thank you, Caroline. Good to be here.
And then we have Chunky Satija, Vice President at Everest Group, where he leads the healthcare and life science research practice. He has more than a decade experience in the life science industry, where he advises life science organization in their vision roadmap and improving the customer experience. So welcome, Chunky.
Thanks, Carolyn.
Great. Before we get started, I just want to invite anybody to bring in their questions, their comments to the chat. We'll make sure that we pay attention to that, and we'll try to answer as much as we can post the initial conversations. So why don't we start with you, Chunky? I'd love to start, what have you seen in your research that suggests that improving the customer experience in the life sciences industry has now become so crucial? And I guess we could say that it was probably always important. However, maybe the lack of digital capabilities kind of brought us to this time now where it is even more important to move into that.
Yeah, I think you summed it up quite nicely, right? So improving customer experience is crucial for life sciences and is a top priority. I think a lot of people recognize that now. But I think the interesting part is that it has always been one of the top priorities for life sciences. I think what has changed is it has now become the topmost priority. And I think interestingly, there was also a Harvard Business Review survey, I think done in around 2020, that looked at what are the top priorities for life sciences enterprises. And customer experience was the top one. And it moved from, I think, rank 4 to rank 1. So clearly, it's always been a priority, but it's just that it's become even more prominent now. And I think as like from an customer experience perspective, as an industry, we have come a long way. I think a lot of it has to do with what, as an industry, we consider success. So I think in the early part of the century, success was, I think, largely defined by having a positive regulatory approval, which then changed to getting reimbursement, and which now has changed to delivering outcomes. And you can't get or deliver outcomes without having a good customer experience. So I think that is the transition that I've seen, which has, again, resulted in significantly more investments in improving customer experience. So I think while all that is good, but I think one of the things that we still have to acknowledge is when you compare life sciences with some of the other industries, say banking or retail, we are still years behind those industries in terms of
Mhm.
experience. So take banking as an example, right? You can do everything from the comfort of your home on a laptop or a mobile app. Everything self-service. I can't remember the last time I had to go to a bank, right? So and similarly, retail, right? Everyone's used to shopping on Amazon. Even if you go to retail stores, there are smart cards or ways to reduce uh, or make the checkout process faster, right? So there's clearly a lot of work that other industries have done in reducing and removing friction. But I think this, from a life sciences perspective, there's still a lot of friction.
Right.
And yeah, and I think three main reasons for that. So I think one thing that comes up a lot is the fact that we are a heavily regulated industry. So I
Mhm.
think that is true. And as an industry, we wait for regulators like FDA and EMA to come up with very detailed guidances before we act. But there are other heavily regulated industries like banking who have done it, right? So
Mhm.
sometimes I think it feels like an easy excuse. But I think the bigger thing is the resistance to change, right? I always think of life sciences as uh, fast followers rather than first movers. I think everyone understands what has to be done and everyone knows why that has to be done. Everyone acknowledges that they need to act now. But then there's a pause to see if has someone else done it, because there's always hesitance in I think being the first one. And I think the other big challenge is maturity of technology. Some of the other industries that I talked about, I think they've made some of those investments years before life sciences started to make in from a customer experience perspective. So I
Mhm.
think it's come a long way. But still a long way to go. Focus more on technology maturity as well as change management.
Right. Thank you. And we'll talk about how those two are definitely dependent on each other, technology and that customer experience, right? So, Jason, when you joined Sonova back in October 2022, what was on top of your agenda was the reimagination of the Sonova experience and bringing in the digital capabilities that would allow you to do that. What was at the root of this decision or this intention?
No, that's a great question, Carolyn. And if you think about it, I agree with Chunky. I think the application of technology and customer service, customer experience has been around in life sciences. I remember my days at Sigma Aldrich, where that it was all about the customer, and even the founders' mottos. Please call us, please bother us, right? And so, when I would coming into the contract research organization world, where we're a service business, so we provide services to customers. We had a foundational belief, when I was meeting with the board and all that that there's two real levers for us to differentiate ourselves within the industry. One is
Mhm.
the customer experience, and the other is the employee experience. So that foundational belief, this drove us to say, that we're going to focus on that, because as a smaller company playing against a lot of larger shops, we have great quality, we have great science, but to be able to be to say we would do that better than some of the bigger guys, I think would
Mhm.
be arrogant and misleading. But we certainly are small enough to create a very boutique, agile customer experience, and really focus on that as our way to punch above our weight class, basically.
Right. So how did that hitting the wall surface? Like, did your customer actually let you know?
I don't think it was a matter of us hitting a wall per se. It was really, the transition of ownership to our investors, SFW Capital Partners, who very much are focused on growth and very much focused on creating, a world-class CRO platform. And as we studied the company and where it was, the foundations of Sonova were very clear.
Mhm.
We were recognized for quality. We were recognized for our science. Our late founder, Dr. Rao Marapali, had coined this whole phrase, the Z factor. And it was really that discipline of reducing variation and ensuring reproducibility and consistency in what we do out in the lab. So we had great bones to start with. But
Mhm.
within that, everything was all the business processes and all of the systems and controls were manual and paper based. And we immediately felt that at the end of the day, the ability for us to apply technology to open up and enable the staff here, as well as the interface between our customers, it became very apparent that that was our way. That it would be able to open up efficiencies and our ability to optimize what we're doing. So as opposed to really hitting a wall, it was a matter of, I think we had conviction with what we wanted to do. We believed and were confident that this would be a differentiator for us, and it would help not only our interface with our customers, but it would help our people and enable our people to be able to operate within a more efficient environment. And I think the only thing where we said is we're not going to be able to do this alone, and hence, our search to find the right partners to work with. And I think it's been a philosophy of mine in my career is, you can move a lot faster when you find the right people to run with.
That's for sure. So going back and, we'll navigate back and forth between everyone here. Ashrita, what was on your mind when we started the work together? Can you tell us a little bit about what made you want to change the Sanova experience? And as the CMO, obviously, what was the goals you wanted to achieve specifically with this transformational journey, I'd say?
Yeah, for sure. I think at the initiation of the project, I was really coming at it from the perspective of having seen the company go through a few different chapters already, right? If we think about the genesis of the company and how it's grown to where it is today, it was a lot of face-to-face meetings, right? We're going to clients' offices, clients are coming to the lab, we're going to trade shows, or, we're hitting the road, for lack of a better phrase, in more traditional tactics. And, as did everyone else around us in the pandemic, we learned that that's not sustainable, nor is it feasible, nor is it the future. And so I think that was really the seed of, we're having to figure out a digital solution for ourselves, because going forward, 90% of the interactions are going to be online, right? And it wasn't just a matter of how do you find your customers, how do you create a digital presence? It was more of a question of creating a more holistic digital platform that really took the customer through from their very first touch point with us to their very last, right? And so if we think about that as the external goal, or I'll say, like, if this was a two-pronged problem, well, that's what we're trying to solve externally for our clients and ourselves. And then if we think on the internal side, the nature of our business with any CRO is that we are creating a ton of data every day, right? And I don't necessarily mean just the data in the lab and the scientific data, although that's a big portion of it. There's commercial data, there's contracts, there's documents, there's quality data, SOPs, you name it. And it, again, isn't just a matter of, okay, we need a centralized database for all of this. It's more, and that's just baseline, right? It's more of the question of, how do you really slice through this data? How do you harness it? How do you build a platform, again, that allows you to harness it so that you become a data-driven project, right? So it was really the question for me is reimagining, as Jason was saying, the entire customer experience again, and make sure we're solving it for both internally, ourselves, the employees, as well as our customers, and how we're doing better for them through it.
Right, which sometimes can be a challenge, right? Looking back at when we started, we talked a lot. We hit the ground talking to the team, to everybody on the team internally, but also with your customers. And the customers very, very quickly let us know the science was there, definitely, and love working with your people. They just really enjoy that interaction. And when questioning where were the gaps and what are the ideal digital points that can be provided, it was also important to understand what are the manual touch points that we need to preserve, right? Because we're humans after all, and we need to have that manual touch. It was very, very clear talking to every customers we talked to. They love that. They love that support. They love knowing that they can also have access to that. So going through that journey and trying to understand what's digital and what's not was also important. So, I mean, to some extent, manual processes become a bit obsolete, right? But how important was it for you guys, and how meaningful was that to preserve those manual touch points? opening for comments on that part, because I feel like in the life sciences it's even more important. There's sort of that digital processes, digital trust has a bit of a limitation, like because of maybe the immaturity yet of that customer experience from the digital perspective.
Yeah, no, let me comment on that, Carolyn, because it's interesting because when we embarked on the journey, and I always go back to part of my upbringing, right? It was the classic, the golden rule: do unto others as you want others to do unto you, or even flip it to say, put yourself in someone else's shoes, right? And we put ourselves, and we, I've always tried to put ourselves, myself in the customer's shoes, understand need, and really, over my career, that's become blossomed into understanding the journey, understanding the key interfaces, understanding the touch points, right? And I think, as when we engaged in the process with Mar Labs, it really opened things up to really start to holistically look at this customer journey with our team. And I think the foundation was, if we can create a digital ecosystem that drives efficiency, we're going to open up people's time, and we'll be able to manage the touch points that you need to have with the customer more effectively, because we weren't going to be bogged down with doing all the other stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And if you take a look at our lead to invoice process now, we've taken a lot of time of pushing paper around and doing things, and freed up individuals that were already here doing the manual processes to really interface with our customers much more intimately now. So I think actually the effect of applying technology, freeing up time, optimizing where you put your resource effort, it just opened up more time for us to have a more collaborative, flexible, and personalized interface with our customers, frankly.
Right. Ashrita would like
Yeah,
to.
that's fair. Yeah, if I can just add to that real quick.
Mhm.
I think I was going into the project and in the process thinking about this as not how do we add a human touch back into a process that becomes automated, but the question should always be, how are you digitally enabling a process that was and will always be personal and interactive, right? I think that goes back to what you were saying, Caroline, that like in this field specifically, given the regulatory concerns, given the weight of what we're doing, I think it's natural that we're always going to have that personal touch involved. And I think we are lucky as a company for Sonova that the culture of the company innately has always had a heavy human touch to it, right? We are that boutique size. Our people, our lab team are always accessible to our clients. It's not like there's 10 layers of bureaucracy. We'll roll up our sleeves, we'll get into the thick of the research with our clients as well. And so it's just a question about how do we do that in a digitally enabled way, to Jason's point of taking away some of the work that we can then focus our employees on more value add activities so that we can just go, faster, better, and more flexible with our services.
Right. Yeah. And it's funny, right? Because some folks might assume that changing the customer experience is very and ultimately customer focused. However, to deliver that experience, that means that we have also to change the way people work, right? And so internally, drawing that journey and working in collaboration with everybody that is part of that journey to ensure that the choices we make and the digitization process is in line with their needs, their expectations, and the way they believe that process will work for them, right? That's definitely a very important thing. And to enable all of that, obviously, we need technology. And so I'd love kind of transitioning a little bit towards that, Chunky. Can you tell us a little bit about what you see in terms of technology trends, maybe more specifically in enabling that customer experience?
Sure. So I think technology is one of the biggest enablers for customer experience. And I think, as all three of you also mentioned, I think when we talk about experience from a life sciences perspective, we're talking about, again, how do we uh, augment our people better, right? So yeah, I think technology is a very big enabler. And like if you look at some of the stats, so if you look at the spend around experience services, a little over 60% of that is around technology.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I study again what life sciences organizations are doing to improve customer experience, I think what I see is use of different types of technologies, right? From automation to analytics, AI, even blockchain and AR, VR. But I think the challenge with life sciences is a lot of them tend to be siloed. And I think one of the things that a lot of these organizations are trying to do is get on board some of these chief customer experience officers who are tasked with ensuring that there's a clear, articulated vision for what they want to do from a
Hmm.
customer experience perspective, align all of those digital initiatives, and create a cultural change. And I think that's what I feel. I think the relationship between technology and customer experience. And I think the other way to look at it is lack of mature technology would often lead to poor customer experience or inhibit your ability to improve customer experience. And I think you can take any tech stack from life sciences as an example, right? The way these systems are designed, they were not designed for improving experience. So even if you look at some of the most mature tech stacks, like let's say a CRM tech stack in life sciences,
Hmm.
uh, again, it was largely designed as a system of record and not as a platform to improve experience for HCPs or for patients. I think which is why around 65% of pharma executives feel that their CRM tech stack needs to improve the method and quality of data collection. Around 70% of them say that they need better customer insights from CRM tech stack. And again, this is the most mature tech stack we have in the industry. So I think
Right.
there's clearly need again for from an industry perspective to again focus more on technology and how that can enable customer experience. And I think what that would also help us do is also help improve productivity. So I don't know if you've been following the latest debate in India around whether we should be working 40 hours or 70 hours. Right? I think those statements have caused quite a stir. Uh, but I think the solution lies in having more mature technology that allows us to do that 70 hours of work in less than 40 hours. And not just that, but also improve the quality of work our people are doing. So I think if they're able to again do more in less number of hours and again focus more on activities that actually help improve customer experience and have more touch
Mhm.
points with the customers, I think that's a win-win for everyone.
Exactly. Finding the right place where where to do that, right? And at Marlabs we have a history of delivering technology solutions, and it's fantastic. But what we like to do, and when the divergence group kind of spearhead those engagement, is really with the intention of helping out, bringing clarity on the roadmap to get there, right? It's one thing to want to gain technology maturity, but where do you start when you're in a world of so many manual touch points and a low maturity when it comes to technology? I think that as we review and deep dive basically into the as is everything, that's where we start. Your process, the people, the struggle, the aspiration, the needs of all the users that are involved in that journey to deliver an experience. We look at all the workflows, and including, and we include to that the technology limitation, which allows us getting into these engagement from these different perspectives: the technology, the design, the business, and kind of keep on clarifying that picture of what needs to happen. It's basically, our focus is very much on um, defining what needs to happen, how the experience needs to be delivered, and then kind of thinking about how to most effectively build a system that allows for that to happen, right? So how is that process for you at Sonova?
Yeah, I mean, that I think, Carolyn, that's, as we looked at what we wanted to do with Sonova, and I think this was the power of the engagement with Marlabs, frankly, is everybody knew their individual pieces, but the ability to actually map out, the entire customer journey from beginning to end, right? And I would say, to Chunky's comment, you're right that the maturity across the entire journey is probably not there, but that there's matured and very good individual pieces across that entire journey. If you think about technology in the stack, right?
Mhm.
And we wanted to be able to to apply the right best in breed solution at the various points across that, from marketing automation through to relationship management through to workflow management,
Mhm.
right? And really, take the best in breed solutions that provide the best UI to our team, right? And were most configurable so that we could make it work within the environment we work within. And so, but the as we worked with the through the divergence stream and everything, being able to put the journey up on a map and visualize it, and then
Mhm.
really getting our people engaged, which was the next piece, right? Is our folks were the ones saying what those touch points were, and as they did that as a team, they began to see the interfaces across various functions within our organization,
Mhm.
and then the reach out to other stakeholders that have different perspectives and from different industries,
Mhm.
along with the external viewpoint directly from our customers, and not just the customers who are with us today, but the customers who we wanted to be with us tomorrow, right? And so as we worked through all of that, it just became very clear that we were going to we would be able to significantly amplify. And to your second point, Chunky, the debate going on in India right now with respect to 70 hours, that's just exactly how we thought through things. We wanted to be able to do more, add productivity, and I agree, package 70 hours of productive work into a 40-hour work week. Coming out of the pandemic, we had just as much focus on work-life balance for our team, and I think we didn't want to approach this brute force, but really ensure we had work-life balance for the team, gave a great employee experience, but at the same time, we're able to deliver, an amplified amount of productivity through a platform. So that's kind of how we thought through the process and have gotten to where we've gotten to today.
I think you're pretty close to that, though, Jason. That walking your hallways and working with your people, it was so peaceful. It was so amazing. Like, it just so wonderful. It's not always like that, right? Companies, big or small, we've done that for any size, really. It's rarely this good. They were excited. They were welcoming the questions and the discomfort of having to change, but they were open, and that's probably a good stamp to good leadership right there. Um, at times when we get into these interactive engagement with our customers, and we on focus on the people themselves and the customer, it can sometimes get to an uncomfortable place for some, where they may feel like, come on, we got to build this, like, they may feel like the solution as they wish to see it, or they're looking forward to see outlined for them, may not come as fast as expected, just because we are going through creating those artifacts and whatnot, that helps you actually visualize the complexity. I guess for us, it's very important that everybody aligns. Like, if I were to ask you, what color is an elephant in this room, everybody would have a different answer. It could be gray, it could be dark gray. So I'm going to say brown. In other words, we're all talking about an elephant, but in our mind, that picture of the elephant can be different. Same goes to your strategy, to your roadmap, to your problems, etc. So how is, again, just to expand a little bit, any comment on that? Like, on that, have you experienced that bit of a discomfort, or were you confident kind of throughout the process that uh, we were making progress consistently?
Yeah, I can comment on that. I think, like, in this room, I think Jason and I knew what we were getting ourselves into, so we were very comfortable with the change headed our way. But I would never take for granted getting the buy-in of employees, of other stakeholders, customers, you name it. And I came at this with the perspective of having gone through some software implementations before and some change managements before, and
Mhm.
seeing how this could go wrong very easily, in a sense that if you don't have that buy-in from your people, both inside and outside, there's almost no point in building it, right? And I think to your point about the Divergence team and your process, Carolyn, I think it was a perfect fit for us because you automatically weaved in those conversations with our employees, with our customers. It wasn't just the three of us in there designing what this needs to look like. It was really an effort, like Jason was saying too, like it was our people telling you where the touch points are and what we need to build around. And I would very much agree with the sentiment. I think there's just a huge excitement across the company on what we're doing, across our customers on what we're doing and what that result could be like. The other thing I can add to kind of thinking through your point on the discomfort about technology, I think it's very easy to get carried away with technology, right? You can overbuild, you can over customize. And I think one good thing was coming out of that discovery phase, coming out of that work with the Divergence group, we had a clear map. And I'm not talking necessarily about the tech stack and exactly how to the technicality of it. That was Marlab's domain. But I think for myself and Jason, we had a clear vision of what we wanted the result to be and what we wanted it to work as. And I think having that clear vision going into the build phase of the project is very important so that you don't overbuild, so that you're not trying to solve every single problem today, but you're rather building a foundation that you could iterate on. And again, I think like our people are on that journey with us. Like you're saying, Caroline, like no one's expecting the result overnight. They're not expecting a solution to every single thing that we came across in discovery overnight either. But again, it's building that foundation, building the mindset that this is what we're going towards and this is the change we're going towards. And again, just getting everyone on board for that.
Right. And at the end of the day, it's quite an investment, right? It's an investment of people, of you wanted to get what you invest for, right? And so to make sure that that investment is the right thing to do is sort of where we're going with this. Hey, Chunky, so the road to digital maturity is a constantly evolving, right? Companies have to engage continuously in keeping up with what's next in their strategy and how to enable that. So what are some of the trends you see there?
Yeah, I think you rightly mentioned it's constantly evolving. And I think to see the trends, I think one of the areas that I look at is where are they investing now? And where do they plan to invest for the next 5 years? And if you, again, look at those investments, I think there are a few things which are quite clear. One is, as far as investments go, I think customer experience is definitely one of the areas where life sciences organizations are investing a lot. And the second is, if you look at those investments, a lot of those investments are, I would say, still in that creating that foundation or creating that infrastructure, right? So a lot of those investments as of today tend to be more focused around data. In fact, again, when we looked at the top three investment priorities from a customer experience perspective, all of them were related to data. So from making sure that you're able to access data from different functions, because again, as life sciences, we tend to be very siloed, to, again, integrating data from different systems. And there are, again, as we are an industry which is also fond of a lot of different point solutions. I think that is also a major challenge as well as an investment priority.